George Harrison's short-lived exit from the Beatles was nothing less than a seismic shift, an eruption that cracked open years of pent-up tension and reshaped his destiny as a songwriter. What began as frustration boiled into fury, and from that fire he forged one of the most defiant anthems of his career. For much of the Beatles' rise, Harrison had been overshadowed, confined to the long shadows cast by the towering partnership of John Lennon and Paul McCartney. By the end of the 1960s, that imbalance was suffocating. The Let It Be sessions, caught mercilessly on film, laid the fractures bare: Paul's relentless need to take control, John's drifting detachment, and Ringo Starr's half-hearted presence as his mind wandered toward acting. That left George to absorb the storm almost alone. On January 10, 1969, he'd had enough. He walked away, returning only days later, but the rupture, and the creative spark it ignited, was irreversible. From that chaos came Wah Wah, a blistering composition that captured his rage at the endless squabbling. Harrison later admitted it was born immediately after one particularly heated clash with McCartney, leaving him with a pounding headache. Leaving the toxic studio behind, where even Yoko Ono's piercing screams had stolen focus, he went home, picked up his guitar, and poured his frustration into music. He named the song after the dizzying sound in his head, a perfect mirror of the noise and disorientation he carried. When Harrison unleashed All Things Must Pass in 1970, the triple album monument that shattered any doubts about his genius, Wah Wah roared as one of its most potent declarations. Though he rarely performed it live, just twice, both at the legendary concert for Bangladesh, it became immortal. That benefit, the first of its kind in rock history, gathered a pantheon of stars: Clapton, Dylan, Billy Preston, and even Ringo. Few realized that Derek and the Dominoes' Bobby Whitlock had already tracked keyboard parts for Wah Wah before Clapton ever joined in. The sessions themselves were as wild as the song's origin. Harrison once recalled arriving late after car trouble, only to find Phil Spector barking orders like a naval commander. "Phase everything!" while assistants twisted knobs furiously by hand. Billy Preston had claimed the organ. Gary Brooker of Procol Harum was on piano, and Harrison was momentarily left without an instrument. Instead, he seized a small electric piano and deliberately played on the upbeat, pushing against the heavy downbeat to create something sly, rebellious, and brilliant. What began as a blinding headache became a towering statement, proof that George Harrison could turn turmoil into triumph, and that his voice, long suppressed, could rise above the noise with staggering power.